Hi, everybody. My name's Tori Nixon, and I'm one of the directors on the board of directors for the Oakville Festivals of Film and Art. I'm also the shorts programmer, so I selected all of the wonderful shorts that you've just seen. Had the great privilege of seeing all shorts from all over the world that were submitted to our festival. And we are here with some of the filmmakers from all around the world who have joined us for the Slice of Life shorts program that you've just watched. We are here with, we have Asia Youngman from Hatha. She's the director and writer. We have Sergio Kotsovoulos, the director and writer of Echo, joining us from Greece. We have Yoo Lee, the director and writer of 7 pounds, 8 ounces, joining us from LA. We have Antony Kos, the director, writer, and animator of Rat Snacks, joining us from Timmins. We have Hao-Tai Wang, the director and writer of Lifestream, joining us from Taiwan. We have Hadi Moussally, the director and writer of Spacewoman. And we have Sette and Anna Cangellaris, who are the director, writer, and animation director from Hot Toddy. And finally, we have Gintarė Parulytė, my apologies, the director and writer of And He Said Yes. So I'm going to just get started with, it's so all of these films are so unique and tell such great stories. And I wanted to first just open up and ask people, where did these stories come from? How did you come up with the idea for your film? So why don't we just kind of go around, and whoever'd like to jump in first can start.
Okay, I'll do it. All
right, do it.
So, I'm Gintarė, and I'm the writer and director of the short film called And He Said Yes, and it's about a wedding planner's appointment gone wrong. And the idea came from many of my friends organizing their weddings and pretty much almost canceling the weddings before the weddings because of the fact that they come from different cultures, and then it kind of, everything sounded really fun when they were in a relationship, and then when it came to organizing the wedding, like there was a cultural clash, and the cultural misunderstandings led to like emotional distance. So that's where the idea to my film came from.
That's great. Why don't we go to Asia from Hatha?
Sexism in my day, I want to do something, with a bit of a comedic aspect to it. So, set in Vancouver, which has a bit of this sort of, there's a lot of wellness trends, and it was poking fun a bit of like the wellness culture in Vancouver, and also just like featuring it in a space like a Hatha yoga class. I thought would be kind of a fun contrast to show these two feuding women who kind of experience the same encounter with sexism and ultimately come together in the end to stand up for one another. So I think it's looking at like the competition between women, but also the power of women standing up for each other.
Fabulous. And why don't we go to Sergio from Echo?
So the idea for the film was like, a friend of mine had this superhero script, and reading it, I just made it about mental awareness, raising mental awareness and mental exhaustion. And my film is Echo. It's about Ellie, who hears thinks that hears what people think. Like whenever somebody speaks, she hears an echo of what she is afraid they might be thinking about her. So the idea is like a really weird way to get to there. Like it started from like a kind of what women want scenario of like, I can tell what you're thinking, and I made it into the polar opposite, like being as an esoteric mental health film.
Great. I think it was a really unique way to do it. That's so thank you for that. You, how about we go to you?
Hi, thanks for having me. When I wrote this, the American politics, it was right after a Capitol riot. So it was really polarized, and I wanted to, do something that was positive and put myself in a positive space. And the 7.8 ounce is the weight when my daughter was born. And it's set in a place, the background of 8th Street in Jersey City, where I had a privilege to live for 10 years before I moved to Los Angeles. And it's about a 1 block of neighborhood that gave me so much, with all the neighbors, old timers and newcomers like me when I first moved there. And it's just a little slice of life about how people can get along.
That's lovely. I love those stories of community like that. So that's great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Antony, rat snacks is certainly very unique. So let's hear about how you came up with the idea for it.
Yeah, okay. So Rat Snacks is my thesis film. I graduated from Sheridan's animation program. And for the assignment that I needed to submit a pitch to, I needed 2 pitches, and I had an idea for a film that I was going to do. And I'd been developing it for like 3 years. But then I needed a second pitch. So the night before, I'm still thinking about that second pitch. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm just going to make a pitch that I'm not going to use. I'm going to make it the worst pitch possible. It's going to be the craziest thing. I will never make this film. I pitched it the next day. Everyone really loved it. And I was like, oh, so I made the film. Yeah, and that is Rat Snacks. It is the zaniest thing I could come up with.
That's great. I love that. Hao-Tai from Livestream. What was, how did you come up with the idea for your film?
Okay, when I was writing these scripts, it happened to be when I just quit my job and was preparing to go to graduate school. During that time, I really had contact or conversation with others in real life. So in order not to make myself feel too lonely, I began to watch various live streams, such as YouTube or Twitch or some local streaming platform in Taiwan. I think this is a very special life experience for modern people. So I created this film with the theme of watching live stream.
That's great. Streaming is such a huge thing now, and I haven't really seen many films that touch on that. So that's that caught me about this one. Hadi from Spacewoman. Let's go to you next.
Hi everyone. So Spacewoman had the idea with a friend of mine, musician called Loopstash. He told me let's do a collaboration to do a music video. And I had the idea, instead of having like a film and you have the soundtrack after, doing the contrary, having like the music, the album, and make a film out of it. So I listened to it. It's called Hypercube, and it's all the theme was space. So I started writing about a new retired woman that's starting her new life, getting bored with not doing much things, feeling that her children are far away from Lebanon, and she wants to become an astronaut at the age of 64. And when I wrote this, my boyfriend told me it's exactly your mother. It's her story, at least all the things except the space woman. So I told my mother, if you're interested to do it, it's your story, even like it's a hybrid movie because it's a documentary and fiction at the same time. It's not a docu-fiction. It's like literally like there's scenes that are real scenes, there's scenes that are recreated, and there's fictional scenes. And this is how we had the idea of Space Woman.
And sorry, your mother is the lead actress? Oh, that's fantastic. Wow, she did a great job. So let's go to Mary and Anna from Hot Toddy. Or I guess Mary, you're probably the one that you're the writer. So why don't we go to you?
Sure, yeah. So Hot Toddy is an animated teeny bopper murder mystery about 2 ex-best friends and all the buckets of blood between them, only some of which are from their periods. It's a comedy. And the idea about it, it's essentially about the kind of dysfunction and a bad breakup between 2 female best friends. And the inspiration is that I got hella dumped by my best friend many moons ago, and I took it very personally. Cried a lot, ate a lot of junk food, and kind of looked around and kind of was like, there's so much content about romantic breakups. There's so much advice about romantic breakups. You really know what to do when you get dumped from someone who's having sex with you. But when someone who's just your best friend breaks up with you, everyone gets very weird and awkward and is like, I don't know, maybe you're just not fun to be around. So I wanted to kind of make a comedy all about that kind of tension and dysfunction and awkwardness. And then since I cannot animate in any way, I partnered up with my animation director, Anna, who is amazing. And Anna, do you want to say anything about your inspirational design?
Sure. I'll just say that the script was a huge piece of inspiration. I read it, just popped off the page for me. And I just saw a beautiful opportunity to kind of create this girl world out of animation. And female friendships have been the most impactful ones for me too. And I agree with what Mary's saying. You don't really see that portrayed on the big screen. It's always romantic love. We never get to dive into platonic love. And so I really enjoyed the opportunity to explore it with her and build this candy-colored girl world together.
And I loved that about this film. I love films about friendship, and I totally agree that there's not enough of them. So that was great. And Gintarė, you started out, so we're all done with this question. So that's fabulous. So at this point, I think I mean, short film is such a unique medium to work in because you need to, all of these films really could be features. They all have, that much to them. But it's a challenge to make something in such a short period of time. And I think in this program, we have shorts that are 4 minutes long, and we have ones that are up to 20 minutes, I think. But no matter what, it all comes with its own challenges. So does anybody want to jump in on some of the challenges that you might have encountered in telling your story in such a short period of time?
I can start if you want.
Sure.
I think that the biggest challenge that I had is to film with my mother since she's not an actress. So the idea was really to have her own personality and her own character. It's like more like a documentary. So that's why I really wanted to film her in a safe space. And the film was really created in a way that it's filmed in our house in Lebanon. We woke up in the morning and we had the camera, we had the scenario. I said, are you ready to do this one? If you're not ready, we can take our time. And especially we were a small team. Literally it was me, my associate that was doing the DOP, and also her. So it's literally it's a small budget movie, even zero budget. And so it's really to have this essence of her character and she was afraid of doing this, but I told her that it's your story. It's literally it's you, so you don't need to act. Let's play together. So if you're not feeling comfortable, we can do it right away. After, we can do it another day, since we really have all our time together. Mm-hmm. And so that was challenging. And at the same time, I really wanted to have with the seamstress. It was the real seamstress of my mother. The cousin was the real cousin of my mother. So all the characters are the real characters, and it was so much fun to have this. I think it's a gift for my mother, because literally it's her story that she was literally feeling not tired, but she's bored from her new retired life, because she's not doing much things except seeing her friends in the house and everything. So she had so much fun in it to do it. Mm-hmm. And to have this feedbacks from this film that I didn't understand what happened, because it took a lot of time to do post-production, and we were keep it on the side, since it's an artistic film, so no funds, nothing, so we have to work on a commercial one and where there's funds. And so I kept it on site a long time, and then after I started the editing with Olivier. And this is where it all started. I had a distribution company. It was bought by the French TV, and it's coming more and more. And I'm so happy that this very intimate film, that it was filmed in my house with my mother and with a small team, that is having all of this success. So yeah, so I'm very happy about it.
What a great story. I was thinking about, we were talking about this with friendship, that you know, we have all of these coming of age films of people going from, you know, being a teenager or a young adult to adulthood, but retirement and sort of that transition is such an important transition as well. And we don't see that on screen. So that was a great thing to explore. Does anybody else want to jump in about some of the challenges that they faced making their film?
Sure. I'm full of challenges. Everything was terrible. It took a really long time. No, it was good. It was great. Well, you know, the biggest challenge I think for everyone is money and time, of course, and how much money and time you can give to a project. And I luckily, again, cannot animate. So Anna really took the mantle of trying to animate a whole like 16. It originally was 8 minutes, and then the pandemic happened and we just like lost our minds and it became 16 minutes. So Anna can probably tell you more about the animation.
Yeah, so, you know, for animation, and especially animation that's dialogue heavy, you need all of the audio before you start creating the world, timing it out. You can have a rough design. But yeah, so Mary found these amazing female comedians to do the voice acting, and it turned an 8-minute page script into a 16.5-minute film. And the longest thing I'd animated was something maybe 5 minutes in school. And I just thought, okay, we're just gonna breathe through this. And I think Mary and I learned so much about collaborating and just like allowing something like your idea of what it was going to be evolved into what it actually became. And I think we really learned how to trust each other and just make decisions when we were running out of time and we had to kind of change things around. But I will say that even though it's painful, there's nothing I love more than being able to create something from scratch with a really good friend and just see it take life in the festival circuit. So we're happy with the outcome.
Yes.
That's great.
We love it.
We have a couple of other animated films here, actually. Rat Snacks, 7 pounds, 8 ounces, and Echo. So maybe Antony, what were some of the challenges that you faced, especially as a student filmmaker?
Yeah. So working within the school year and the curriculum, I think that my biggest issue was actually cutting down the writing. It was originally going to be a 6-minute film, and I was going into like all the backstory of all the characters, and I kind of realized I didn't need that. It wasn't like an essential part of the film. So once I had that out of the way, sticking to the schedule, it became also an issue. I'm the only one doing like all the layouts, all the animation, all of like every single drawing that needs to be done for the film. So I'm thinking, how can I do less drawings for the backgrounds, and how can I do less drawings for the actual animation? Because originally I wanted it to be all hand-drawn, and I wanted the layouts to be hand-drawn. But then I thought to make the layouts 3D, I made them in Blender, and then I made the characters 2D rigged. I made them in Harmony. And yeah, it was still a crunch to get it done by the end, but I got it done. So yes.
Great. How about you? Did you encounter any challenges either?
Oh yeah, from day one. This was a grant piece from Film Independent, and I got the Leica animation grant. But even with having the funding, you know, stop motion, it took 3 months to film. So you have to rent all the lights and gear. So, you know, we had to be really frugal. And I think challenges are, you know, this being a grant piece, this was the first piece that I was thrown into a project with a lot of people I've never worked with, and finding out the personality and everybody who was so talented, but they all came from a live action background. So having to tell people, short takes, you know, for live action short, it takes 3 days to film. And for us, it took 3 months, and having to explain every step of the way, but it got done. And, you know, I have a saying that every short shaves your life expectancy by 3 years. It takes that much. And I think it was true for this film, but yes, just like what everybody's saying, I'm glad it got done. Thank you.
Great. And Sergio, you're our final animated filmmaker, so let's go to you. Let's see. Oh, I think you're muted.
This microphone is a bit busted, so I hope everybody can understand what I'm saying.
Yep, great.
So the biggest issue with me was we had a curfew for COVID, two curfews that took like most of the last 2 years. So sound recording, while you're not allowed to leave your house, we would send SMS to go to the supermarket or visit a doctor. So that was one of the most, and I really wanted to direct my my voice talent in the same room, to have them like interact more realistically instead of just reading what I wrote. So we had to fake a doctor's appointment near the sound recording studio to go there, and then and then to fake something else in order to leave, because we had a huge penalty if the curfew police. I don't think any of these new things I can translate them, because they're new kind of police for curfews for COVID. I don't know. I was never taught these expressions in any other language. So yeah, well, it was really weird, and I hadn't left the house for a lot of days when we recorded. So to see like people in the same room, it was scary but nice. And like, what do you do with a microphone after, if you need somebody else to use it? Like, do you spray it with the disinfectant?
Yeah.
And will it wreck the microphone? And if you want to go inside the booth to tell an actor, like maybe. So it was like I would pantomime with a mask on, and they can't see my expressions. Do I like it? Do I not like it? So it was like,
I imagine I imagine a lot of the films here were made during COVID. I mean, it's been the last 2 years. Asia, was your film made during the lockdowns, or?
Oh yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was like the peak of COVID, I would say, or like the start of it. Like, we initially were supposed to be shooting April 2020. And then, of course, we all remember what that was like, April 2020. So we ended up pushing to August, and we shot in August, luckily. But there's just so much uncertainty around it. Like, we had initially had 2 actors from Toronto, which is like the other side of Canada. And we just had to recast due to like, fear of flying and just like not knowing what was going to happen. And so it was stressful for sure. And it was like my first fiction project. So it was just like a difficult thing to navigate. Now, I'm such an expressive person, but having like half your face covered and trying to like interact with an actor is just like difficult. So yeah, I had its challenges, but I feel like we lucked out. Like, we didn't have any kind of issues like during our 3 days of shooting with COVID, at least. So we lucked out in that regard. So it was a good learning experience for sure.
That's great. And were there any other challenges that you faced during your production, or like not COVID related?
Like little things. Like, I won't go into it too much, but like on our last day of shooting, we kind of jinxed ourselves, because Mike and I were like, oh, it's been going so well so far, like this last day will be a breeze. And then we showed up to our location. We had these 2 massive like white vans in front of our location. They're like the cities, and they wouldn't move it, so we had to get like some towing company to come in and tow them out, and it was just this whole ordeal. It took up a lot of our morning, so it was just like stressful trying to shoot everything a lot later than we had planned and that sort of thing, but we ended up getting it done.
Wow. All right, let's go to our last 2. Hao-Tai, what were some of the challenges that you faced making your film?
Okay, it's funny. My leading actress,
Other side.
she actually is a Japanese. So when she came in audition, and she performed very well, and I think she very fit in my film. So when I decided to choose him, I rewrite every single word on my script with her together. So, and
Wow.
It turned out great. So I think it's a right choice.
Yeah, that was great. What a process, but it turned out really well. And let's go to Gintarė. I think you're our last one here. And what were some of the challenges that you faced in making such a, an intimate sort of film with these 3 actors?
Yes, I wrote the film 1 year before we shot it, and there are only 3 actors in it, like the couple and the wedding planner, and no extras. And then boom, the pandemic happened. So it was kind of in that sense, like, very lucky that it was a COVID-friendly project, with just 3 actors and no extras. And everything went very smoothly. I was very lucky side of the fact that I caught COVID 2 days before shooting, and another crew member as well. So we had to postpone everything, and we didn't, because it was during a tough phase of the lockdown in Luxembourg with also curfews and so on. We just had so little time, like, to cast locations or visit locations. We couldn't, like, the whole crew couldn't go and visit it. They were like, okay, you're just allowed to be 2 of you, and you just have 5 minutes inside. And you're like, well, but I need to do tech recce, and it's like me. So, but yeah, I was still very lucky.
That's wonderful. Great. All right. So I think we've kind of hit our time. I want to thank everybody for joining us. This has been a really wonderful program that I had the privilege to, check out all these great films early on. And we at OFA wish you all the best on the festival circuit and beyond with your films. And to you, the audience, we hope that you enjoyed. Thanks so much, everybody. Bye-bye.